Dr. Russell is all I kind of thought of her as the entire time. Uh, doesn't understand what part-time is and doesn't understand what like one job is. So she just did all the jobs and somehow becomes a dog bite expert. Ooh, Princess Coyote, imposter syndrome in human form. Oh my gosh, that sounds aggressive because I don't know what medical residencies anyone else in this chat has engaged in or partaken in, or the fact that this person's done autopsies beyond anyone's credentials or has worked for the LA jail, coroner's office, LA medical. I mean, I don't understand why people hated her so much. Really hated her, man. Yeah, people in the chat right now hate her. She's not understanding the assignment. There's no assignment. For those of you who might remember, this channel started, honestly, because during the course of a certain trial, let me pull this out real quick. During the course of a certain trial, a dumb lawyer, me, trial lawyer, was watching testimony that was being offered in a case in Fairfax, my home jurisdiction. And in the course of that testimony, a particular witness said something about a piece of uh, furniture that I, as a hobbyist woodworker, knew was not physically possible based on how it was said. Didn't matter how I figured that out. It just honestly just I just heard it. I was like, that's not what that would do. Well, that what that did to someone whose brain works the way mine did was it sent me down a rabbit hole of looking through all the testimony and saying, how is this testified to and how does this make sense? And when I was going through that whirlwind and trying to figure out what the hell was going on, at some point in time, my brain was like, no, this doesn't make sense. This isn't how it would happen. I have to find a way to explain this. So I made a video. That video went viral, and that's where the channel came from. So that's how the video came to be. I wasn't looking for a moment of anything in a trial. I was just not going to let bullshit stand for bullshit and with being projected out in the world as being completely inconsistent with what I saw and knew. So I have no shade towards someone who has this level of expertise, who is far exceeding my own in any regard, uh, finding something in this trial that made them question what was going on and decided, that doesn't feel right. And then told the prosecutor they were working with, who happened to know Jackson, who's like, hey, by the way, there's this really cool lady I work with who's this expert who came to me and said, this doesn't feel right. Would you like to talk to them? Absolutely. So that is how this witness came to be.
Specialist who has completed a residency, internship residency, residency in the field of emergency medicine, which is a field which involves.
Hang on, Billy's Momzilla. I'm going to call this out because I am also a very, very, very proud son of a mom who was a badass. Actually, for those of you who have not met me before, hey, my name is Rob. It's actually very nice to meet you. So, Rob, Law and Lumber. I actually am a lawyer, practicing lawyer in Virginia, who practices as a trial lawyer in domestic relations litigation and bankruptcy law. But I also was the son of two parents that were engineers, a family of engineers, and I had a crazy life. So I like talking about stuff on YouTube. I don't know why, but I just do. My mom, who was in the chat earlier tonight, was probably one of the biggest badasses that you could ever imagine in a workforce that was male dominated, right? So my mom, engineering major at the University of Arizona, graduated in 71, 71, 72. But anyways, she just got inducted into the University of Arizona College of Engineering Hall of Fame this year, 1 year after my father, who was inducted posthumously. And the only reason for the year disparity was that was the difference between their graduation years. So my mom advanced in the career field of engineering to the point where she was bossing men around left, right, and center, and actually was just the boss. I routinely watched men walk out of my mom's office crying. She lived in an era when women, well, they couldn't be women. They were viewed as different, especially in male dominated jobs, medicine, engineering, law, business. I mean, pick your poison. So if I am a little bit defensive of this witness, maybe that's my own biases that are chiming in here, because my mom did more in a career than, I'm going to go ahead and say 90%, 95% of the men that I've ever met in my life. And my dad was there supporting her the whole fucking way. Not only that, but I actually had the benefit of having my mom. And because my mom went to work when I was what, I think 3 months old, 6 months old, a woman that raised me, my niñera, who Yadira from Panama, who raised me from that age as a live-in person, and not just live-in because it was something that was beneficial for my mom. No, Yadira said that she would be unable to care for me after a certain period of time because she had to take care of her sister who was having a baby. My mom said, "Well, what if your sister and your sister's newborn, would they like to come and live with us?" Yadira stayed with my family and is so I have mom one and mom A. I don't have mom one, two. I have mom one and mom A, and I have dad. And they all stand kind of in equal fucking position. Yadida stayed with us until my sister, who is 5 years my or 4 years my junior, went off to college. And Yadida now lives out by um, my sister with my sister's daughters and is raising those little grandbabies. So um, we are all one family. So I am a child of very powerful women. So I do not appreciate people that talk down to women, especially women of this era and this generation who had to put up with ungodly amounts of bullshit to get through what they had to get through to get to where they were. No. I understand that women today go through a shitload. They do. They go through a lot. It is not a candle, and I say this with all due respect in my heart. It is not a candle to what people of that generation went through, what the women went through. They were not human. They could not be viewed as being in the same room as these people. So when I see someone like this witness who did residency after residency after residency, graduated medical school in the 70s. In the 70s. Do you understand that concept of this is like pre-cell phone, pre-anything, pre-anything, pre-any of this bullshit. This is in the 70s. This was with the expectation of the females in the household was y'all just gonna raise babies and that's it. That's it. Now, to a lot of people, that's great. Wonderful. I love it. Fantastic. Please stay home with your kids, raise your kids. But to some that wanted to go out and advance themselves, and I don't mean that disparagingly. What I mean is that you can advance yourself plenty by raising a child. I think people in the household that are raising children learn more and practical experience than I could ever hope to learn just by observing from the outside looking in. But to people that wanted a different style of learning, people that strove for academia, this was an era where men were allowed to do that, women were not. And if women did that, they were looked at differently. And as a son of someone who was raised, or as a son of someone who went through that, who was an outcast and one of the, call her the 0.01% of females that advanced to a place where they could boss the men around. Seeing my mom go through what she had to go through and understanding that that was, you know what, Dr. Russell, and my mom, probably about the same age. So yeah, I'm gonna be a little bit defensive because my mom has more experience in her life than what she lived and lived through. And for her to get the degrees that she got in the with the adversity that she faced, I got more respect for that than a lot of other people out there. Yeah. So if I'm defensive of this witness, now I will call bullshit when I see bullshit. I don't dispute a lot of it though. But yeah, that's an explanation of my own biases. You don't like it? That's fair.